Welcome, everybody, to Real Fun Times with the Doctor. That's me.
And Snowy, that's me.
And thank you so much for joining us today.
What up?
I wish I could start by saying, what a ride!
But we
and
can't.
It was.
Well,
but not the one I was looking for.
we know what kind of ride you're looking for.
Oh, sneak a peek. Oh, my.
Oh, my feminine wiles. Jesus.
I do declare. Snowy, I'd like to start today with a couple of fun facts.
I would love to hear said fun facts.
Today we're sticking with a theme.
The aquatic?
You got it. It's
cool.
About dolphins.
Yeah, I like it.
In 1986, no. Number one, there was a group of feral camels in Texas.
What? When? This was in 86?
What? 1986? No, this is about the Wild West.
Oh, okay.
So when you think about the dangers people face on the American frontier, one that probably doesn't come to mind is feral camels.
No.
But that's exactly what happened. They were
Egypt,
roaming
sure.
the plains of Texas for a time after the dissolution of a short-lived U.S. Camel Corps,
Mm-hmm.
like in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So they tried to establish this back in Texas in 1856. But then what happened? Civil War broke out, and they were like, oh, our camel project got axed. But the camels were still there. They escaped into the countryside, where they and their descendants lived wild until at least, any guesses?
Is this what year did this happen?
It started in 1856.
Until the 1930s.
So close. Unbelievable. 1941.
Okay, all right. Nice.
Where the last feral camel died a slow, agonizing death.
Did he really?
No,
oh my
but
God.
it sounded serious. He died in his peaceful sleep, surrounded by his children and grandchildren.
Everybody that loved him.
Yes. And a bunch of water.
They celebrated with a cold pint.
And so Yingling was born.
The oldest brewery in America.
I didn't know about these
People
wild...
from Pennsylvania are going to be pissed. Like fucking Yinglings from Pennsylvania.
We know, guys. They're not going to claim the feral camels, though. I would love to see just a camel. What would a feral one look like? Like, is it going to spit further, angrier?
Yeah, is it going to, like, smack me with its hoof? Like,
they already have a shitty attitude.
Like, rear back and, like...
Which I kind of appreciate about camels. I like their shitty attitude. And they make a fine cigarette.
That's what I smoked in college after Marlboro Lights.
That's right.
Because going to the college I went to, that was part of the curriculum, was Marlboro Lights. And then after that, I moved to Camel Lights.
My very first cigarette was a Marlboro Red.
Mine too. That's so funny. Yeah.
And then I too graduated to the Camel Lights.
Mm-hmm.
I even had a little Turkish gold.
Mine.
But they were a little robust.
I feel like you should have been in a hookah bar.
For my wee baby lungs. All right, second fun fact, Snowy. One of the best poker players in the West may have been a woman. Alice Ivers became known as Poker Alice. Not the best. Not the best.
Maybe that name had a double entendre.
Well, she was born in England and her family moved to America in 1865, became notorious out west for her domination of the poker table. Poker Alice even had a popular catchphrase that ran a little something like this.
Okay, give it to me in your best Alice voice.
Praise the Lord and place your bets. I'll take your money with no regrets.
I love that.
Isn't she a badass?
Oh my God.
I should have done that with an English accent, but I can't. And that's what I have for fun facts today, Snow.
I fucking love it, dude. I love it. So what do you think, if you had been alive in the time of the Wild West, what do you think your role would have been?
Probably end up in a saloon. I think they had it better. I don't want to be a prairie wife.
You would
have
been a terrible prairie wife.
I'm going to make my own destiny. In a whorehouse.
I think I would have been running said whorehouse. house.
I think I'd be working.
I would have worked my way up.
You'd be my best friend, madam.
Yeah. Yeah.
You teach me the ropes, take me to your wing. Like, no, not like this is why you don't make money.
This is how you make money.
Whoa! Well, we should probably head on to your previews.
All right, so Wild Wild West, 1999, PG-13.
Questionable.
Directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, who also did Men in Black. He did Addams
Really?
Family Values 2. He did, I believe, all 3 Men in Blacks.
Did you say directed?
Mm-hmm.
This?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
What? Go on.
Yeah. It was... Now, the written by, it's a little sketchy because I feel like I saw one thing and then I saw other things.
No one wanted credit.
No, and they're like, no, it was him. It was this guy.
No.
But according to IMDb, it was Jim Thomas and John Thomas and others.
Jim and John, huh?
Mm-hmm. Those bastards. Then I saw somewhere else that was like, we wrote this, and then when they saw it, there was all kinds of things they had not written. So who knows?
Okay.
Who knows?
Could be a little bit of a Frankenstein issue.
Right. IMDb gave Wild Wild West 4.9 out of 10.
I'm very curious about these ratings.
Rotten Tomatoes, 17% on the tomato meter, 28% audience score. Metacritic, 38 Metascore.
That's higher than I would have thought.
Yep. And 6.4 user rating.
No, user
6.4,
rating.
almost 7. Come
Guys, who used this? Who rated it?
on. Will Smith's Family and Friends. Obviously, Will Smith stars as Jim West, began his career as the rapper, the Fresh Prince of, and then went on to star in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He literally, I feel like Will Smith just churns out hits.
Where did this fall in his churn, though?
So this is, okay, so Bad Boys was 1994. This was 99.
Wow.
So
he'd
literally,
been churning
he'd
for
been
a
churning,
minute.
yeah. So like Bad Boys was his first like really big like breakout like movie.
Great movie. The original?
Then Independence Day, then Men in Black, then Enemy of the State.
And then this?
Yeah. Then Ali, which he was actually nominated for an Oscar.
You know, I've not seen that. I've always wanted to.
It was great.
He did a great job.
Men in Black 2, Bad Boys 2, I, Robot, Shark Tale, Hitch. I actually really love Hitch. I hate to admit how much I really enjoy Hitch.
I don't dislike it at all. And I kind of liked Shark Tale from what I recall seeing it as a kid.
Yeah, I think it was fine. Yeah. Pursuit of Happiness, I Am Legend, Suicide Squad, Aladdin, most recently Gemini Man. He's had 2 Oscar nods, 5 Golden Globe nods. He's won a couple ASCAPs. I think he's had some SAG nominations. I mean, it's
Quick sidebar. What are your feelings about his Aladdin?
No.
Right?
Nobody will ever replace Robin Williams.
Touch that performance.
And
the fact that they even tried seems asinine. Just do a different fucking story. They have so many movies.
I feel that way about a lot of things. All right, so we've got Kevin Kline as Artemis Gordon. So he got his start on, I think it was a soap opera called Search for Tomorrow. He had
What a title.
very dramatic. He had 2 runs as the Pirate King on Pirates of Penzance. Sophie's Choice, The Big Chill, Dave, Hunchback of Notre Dame, In and Out, Midsummer Night's Dream, which I actually really love that rendition of Midsummer because I was involved in the play Midsummer. It was my first play in high school.
Oh, cool.
And so I'm just such a big fan. It's probably my favorite Shakespeare. Orange County, The Tale of Despero, Beauty and the Beast, Bob's Burgers. Kenneth Branagh played Arliss Loveless. He joined the Royal Shakespeare Company at age 23 and then found it, I forget what they said. It was like he found it too large and not personal enough. So he founded the Renaissance.
The guy with the facial hair?
Yeah. And then so he founded the Renaissance Theater Company, who actually, like, Prince Charles is someone that goes and actively sees and is a member.
Get the fuck out of here.
Henry V, Much Ado About Nothing, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Othello, Hamlet, The Proposition, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. He was Gilderoy Lockhart, Valkyrie.
That's Gilderoy motherfucking Lockhart?
Yes. Yeah.
Mind blown. This is why we do previews. Amazing.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't remember his name when you and I were talking.
He's
I was like,
a much better actor than this.
He's 100%. I mean, he's a classically trained Shakespearean actor. Like, he's excellent.
That gives me a true giggle.
One of my all-time favorite movies, Pirate Radio. He was in Macbeth, Dunkirk, and he actually was the Asgardian distress call in Infinity War. We had Salma Hayek playing Rita Escobar, Frida, Desperado, Dogma, The Hitman's Wife most recently, Savages, Cirque du Freak. What was the Clooney movie where she was the vampire?
Oh, yes, Dust Till Dawn.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Great movie.
And Emmett Walsh played Coleman, who was the guy that drove the train.
Yeah, a classic.
Mm-hmm. Knives Out, Sneaky Pete, The Lottery, Romeo and Juliet, the one with Leonardo and Claire Danes.
Mm-hmm.
The Civil War, Raising Arizona, Harry and the Hendersons. And lastly, Ted Levine, who is Buffalo Bill.
Yes, and I could not believe it when you told me that and we were watching this.
But he really has made quite a name for himself. But just, he was Buffalo Bill in, what was the House of the Lambs, early 90s?
Early. And he has been in so much stuff.
Yeah. The Alienist, he's actually had a recurring role in that recently. Fallen Kingdom, Shutter Island, The Hills Have Eyes, Monk, he was on for
That's right, he was the captain or
mm-hmm.
whatever.
But I can't get past that fucking voice. That voice will always, as soon as I hear that voice, it just takes me back to... That must have been what did it for you,
because you knew immediately, and I was like, this guy seems...
And I'm like, I know who it is!
And I was like, that's not it. That's not... You were like, it is though. I was like, okay.
Don't test me. And yeah, that's the cast talk for the day. And
Amazing cast talk.
Thank you.
One thing is glaringly obvious. I think it should be for the listener. We didn't enjoy this, but based on what you just said, what an amazing cast.
Yeah, such a great cast.
I mean, and I wonder...
And honestly, great director.
Right. And I wonder if when you went on your deep dive, what it may have said about money. I'm imagining this movie had a shitload of money. It had a shitload of amazing talent. All the right pieces were aligned. I can see why people said yes to this.
Now, this was based on a TV show.
I did not.
It was based on a TV show from the 60s. Mm-hmm, called The Wild Wild West.
Is that where they got the badass opening from? Because those opening credits...
The opening credit was great.
The gem. The gem of the film.
Yeah, that was the best part. So it starred... The show, I think it was in the 60s, starred Robert Conrad. And again, it was about two special agents who were in the Wild West and had access to a bunch of just crazy gizmos and gadgets.
That's a fun premise. Even the idea for this was good.
Yeah. To answer your question about monies, so they had a $150 million budget. Ended up going to $170 million because they had to go back and reshoot things because they tested with audiences and they weren't sure if it was supposed to be a comedy or not. So they went back to insert funny clips, which we see how well that worked out. It was the most expensive movie to date at 99 produced by Warner Brothers and the most expensive movie produced in 1999, period.
Wow. But didn't fucking Matrix come out in 99? Maybe it was earlier, but wow, those numbers are shocking.
Well, I love that you actually, it's very fortuitous that you brought up The Matrix because Will Smith was actually slated to star in The Matrix.
He was going to be Neo?
And turned it down for this film and said it was the biggest mistake of his entire career.
Wow, so much information right now. The fact that Matrix could have been Will Smith I need to digest that all on a I can't even. And the fact that he put it down for this, I mean, it kind of needed to be in retrospect. All right, so we start off, this opening. I should have known something was up with this choppy ass fucking opening. Now, I don't know if maybe I'm looking at the effects from 1999 as a whole as being bad. I felt like there was fine effects before then, but this stood out as bad. Because what we see is some dude in a weird neck apparatus, metal cylinders. I don't know. It was a weird collar. Yeah. He's running around and unbeknownst to us telling us the plot. this shitty plot that we're about to take on, because he's like, this crazy guy and a spider, and then his head gets chopped off.
Yeah, he's like mumbling things.
Because he's running away from this disc that's careening through the air and hitting trees and shit.
And I do want to say, it says in Louisiana in 1869. I want to pay very close attention to the places that it takes us, because I have things to say about it.
Okay, good. I didn't pay any attention to that, because I wrote down he's running away from a bad CGI Death Frisbee.
Well played. That's very accurate.
And then we go straight into the opening credits, which we talked about is, I felt very like 60s/70s.
Very Tarantino.
TV series. Yeah.
Fun.
Just fun colors and like just the way they were doing the images, and the music was good.
It was great.
I was like, oh boy, forget that first few minutes. We got something here.
Yeah. We did.
Well, I wrote, this quickly dissolves into a weird, crooked town and a loud, sloppy makeout.
That makeout scene. Okay, so like we end up going to, this time we go to West Virginia, and Will Smith's character is living in a water tower.
That's what I gathered from the interior decor of the water tower.
The decor.
A bed.
A little stovetop, I believe.
Some bookshelves. And they just get to dip in there and do whatever they want.
And they're making out in the water.
Water supply.
Him and the actress is Garcelle Beveaux.
She seemed familiar.
Yeah, she's been in a bunch of stuff. I was like, I said, Will is living in a water tower? ? Also fucking in one? ? Gross makeout scene.
That was really uncomfortable.
It was so loud.
It was just, it didn't seem fun or sexy. It was just like, ew.
I like it. Yeah, did not care for it.
Some bad guys show up.
Start stealing shit, and they run into the water tower, and it falls.
His beautiful condo.
His condo in the sky.
Destroyed. And then we get to see a terrible shot of Will Smith's genitals. And I paused it on the rewatch to make sure I wasn't going crazy.
Oh yeah, I paid special attention. He, I guess, defeats the bad guys that he encounters, and then what was in the bottles? Do you remember?
Nitro.
Okay.
I wrote it down because it was so asinine.
Like Fast and the Furious? Is that Nas? Is that the same thing?
So close. I think it is. It's the same liquid.
Vin Diesel comes out of the corner for family.
Genius. So yeah, Will Smith's got the nitro that there's a horse-drawn carriage carrying it towards a ravine that's shown up out of nowhere. He has to get on the horses and stop them, and then he goes
just in
over,
time,
and then they have to pull him back.
And thank God, right past that ravine, what's there?
The saloon where we get to meet Kevin Kline.
Yeah. And Selma.
And I forgot. We meet her right away. What a waste of space. This character
was fucking stupid.
Was just eye candy.
That's literally all she was there for, was sex appeal. That's it.
That was the entire purpose. And I know that she did everything she could with what she was given, but I felt bad for her watching this.
Later on, she had said that one of the things she hates about that movie and that role is that she knows she's a better actress than that.
So much better.
And actually, Kevin Kline has said the same thing. He regrets this role.
Again, such amazing talent. And to see them in this batting so lowly, like nobody was doing grade A performances here. Everyone was like scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Nobody cared.
Nobody gave a shit. And it was palpable.
You know who else was palpable too? Will Smith's mother. After she saw this and he asked her what she thought of it, she said, "You've done better, baby."
Oof. Ouch. She was right. So, yeah, we go into the saloon where we meet Kevin Kline, who's dressed as a lady.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually scoping out...
Bloodbath.
What's this
Bloodbath McGrath.
Bloodbath McGrath, who is...
Ted Levine. Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill. Buffalo Bill has a real nasty look to his character. Yeah. He looks rough. His face is all jacked up from some more injuries.
And obviously he was on the side of the Confederacy. That made that very clear. Where they are at, it's a bunch of like ex-Confederate soldiers in this saloon.
They're in the South, and Will Smith, I guess, was an ex-captain in the army for the northern side, and Kevin Kline is a marshal. Mm-hmm. So Kevin Kline's scoping out McGrath.
And got some thick thighs. We find out.
And McGrath is all about it. He was so hot for Kline in woman form.
It was hilarious. And when he goes down the line to pick out like which like hoe he wants, like Salma Hayek is obviously trying to like get him because you find out later she's got reasons why she's trying to target him. And Kevin Kline tells him what his name is. He's like, that was my mama's name. And then he like scoops him up. And it's like, I never, if I met someone and they had my parents' names, I wouldn't be like,
it wouldn't be like hot.
No, like I don't.
The idea of yelling that out during sex?
No. One time there was another woman named Noelle that was interested in me. And
Noelle.
I was like, no, I can't. I can't.
Oh, Noelle.
No, I don't. It's weird. It's weird, wild stuff. I don't care for it.
You have your limits.
Yeah, you wouldn't think, but it's you.
It's family and self-relations. I respect that.
Two gross quotes we get in this scene is when Bloodbath says he wants something young and creamy. And then one little guy is really trying hard for Kevin Kline.
He was like, I got
50 cents. I got 50 cents. And she's like, no. And he says, you can't say no. You're a whore. And then he does the thing where he's got a little faux flower on his chest and it like a cartoon busts out and punches him in the face.
It was so bad. Yeah, she snares him in her trap. Oh, yes, Will Smith shows up. He busts into the room that they're in about to hook up, and he knocks out McGrath. Mm-hmm. Trying to be a gentleman and
thinking that, he even says he's like, you're a big sturdy girl. I'm sure you get top dollar.
Yeah, he throws her like a sack of money that he found on McGrath, and he's like, go on now. And she's like, no, man, I gotta figure out the case.
That's not what I want to do. And also before that, when they're looking for a room, we hear Kevin Kline open a door, and you hear, that's something you don't see every day. And then you hear a sheep, meh.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of sheep fucking jokes in here.
A lot of weird jokes. They're in there fighting or arguing or whatever over McGrath, and the real villain's outside with his ladies in the cart. And he's like, I'm gonna go ahead and let the nitro out. Mm-hmm. So the nitro rolls down the hill and it blows up the saloon.
Thank God everybody had gotten out.
It was a giant explosion. And that place was crammed full. I don't know when the patrons left or why, but thank goodness. Yeah. And then the next day, now I will say for Will Smith, he looked very good looking in this film.
Oh, he looked great.
And he had some amazing outfits.
Indeed, he did.
That I'm going to put in the plus column. There was this one outfit where he didn't have a shirt on, but he had the coat, and I was like, hello. The beginning, yeah.
So then we're taken to DC.
To a young DC, because things are being built. That was kind of a cute little nod. I do like that in movies.
Lots of sheep in the yard, which, again, I didn't care for. And we find it's in the time of Ulysses S. Grant as the president. Will Smith goes into... He gets into the...
Starts talking to the president.
But then the president starts talking about this guy, Artemis Gordon, and how amazing awesome he is. And then Will Smith is just like, I call bullshit. You're not him. Turns out it's Kevin Kline. And then the real Ulysses S. Grant, also actually played by Kevin Kline, comes in the room and says, you guys have to work together. And they're both like, no.
Now, you like serious Ulysses Grant.
Yeah, I was kind of into it.
Played by Kevin Kline.
Yeah, I kind of was into it. And I was like, okay.
This works for me.
Yeah. Full head of hair, that beard.
What did we say? Ron
Swanson.
Burgundy, but a little Ron Swanson.
Dude, I'm telling you, Nick Offerman with a beard, I can't. I absolutely cannot. Megan Mullally, you're a lucky lady. Gives them the train.
Yeah, he's like, hey guys, you're the two best at whatever you guys do. Kevin Kline's obviously like a mastermind of disguise, and he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve. But Will Smith, he's more of a shoot from the hip, cowboy type, shoot first, questions later. I'm just here to get the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
No
nonsense.
muss, no
Yeah.
fluff. Different personalities right from the start.
For sure. And Artemis makes it very clear that he doesn't like guns.
Yes.
He's very anti-gun.
Mm-hmm.
So they find out there's going to be this big Friends of the South party that they're going to go to, right?
The president's like, hey, these scientists keep disappearing.
That's right.
He takes them to a special room in the White House where it looks very, very Secret Service-y, even though that's not a thing quite yet. And he's like, yeah, these guys keep disappearing. I need you guys crack the case. And they're like, all right. He's like, I'll let you borrow my train, The Wanderer.
And all I can think of that was that song, They Call Me the Wanderer. Yeah, the Wanderer.
Nice. So he's like, yeah, take my dope ass train. That train was beautiful.
It was cool.
Beautiful. That's where we meet our cute little conductor,
Coleman.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, go figure it out. It's got a bunch of tricks also.
Yeah, and I'm unclear whether or not like Artemis did that or if they were already there.
It didn't feel like Artemis knew about it, and like they had this dumb race to get to the train that he won because he had some gadget, and Will Smith got there late. Oh, it's so bad.
You're just.
So then they need to find a clue to this place that you just mentioned. Well, how did they find this clue?
So they're okay. So the guy that died at the very beginning of the movie, they've got his head, and Kevin Kline's like, "Oh, you can see someone's last memory through like their eye socket." So we're gonna look at that. And Will Smith just keeps repeating, and as did Drea and I. He's like, "That's a man's head."
The first couple of times, genius. The next 4 times, it just wore the joke out. But yeah, somehow Kevin Kline obtains a head.
This dude's head.
Rigs it up to this machine.
To a PowerPoint, to a projector.
Flips it over because it's upside down.
And then Will Smith puts glasses on it so we can see it better. Who do we see as his last image?
McGrath. And he's got this thing in an invitation in his
lapel,
pocket.
Yeah.
That reads very clearly this masquerade that they're going to go to.
The Friends of the South.
That's right. That's how they get there.
Now, I will say there were a couple amusing moments in this. There's a lot of bad moments, but there were a couple amusing moments in the
party.
Yes.
Absolutely. So it's time to infiltrate the party. Will Smith goes in as himself. He's just going to go check stuff out, but
which is kind of hilarious.
What does Kevin Kline decide? He's going to do some cool gimmick and probably dress up as a lady.
Yeah, because he likes dressing as a lady.
And they figured out how to make the perfect boobs.
Right, and it's this whole thing. It's like, you touch my breast, no, I'll touch your breast, and the Coleman hears it, and yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
That part wasn't too bad. So Smith breaks in and immediately meets the Asian counterpart, who is named Miss Something East.
Miss East, yeah.
And she has this thing where she's like, oh, the West meets the East. And it's like this flirtation, like, basically, let's go fuck somewhere. You're hot, I'm hot. Also, let me explain some of the plot. I work for Loveless. He is alive, because as far as people knew, this guy was dead.
Right.
Will Smith goes into a library type area, some room, finds some secret shit about where he's gonna go next. Shoots some people that were pretending to be painters.
Yeah, so so she is it's actress Bai Ling, and she
is famous, right? I feel like I've seen her.
Yeah, she's seducing him because these people who are doing like the still life and the paintings are going to kill him, and then he knows it, and he's like pop, 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 kills everybody, including her, I believe.
Yeah.
They all drop dead. He gets out.
That was pretty funny because he falls
at the very end. Yeah. He runs out. He wants to go find Kevin Kline, and he
does.
Right.
He finds the woman that he dressed up as in the beginning of the movie. And does a little on her breasticles.
Yes.
A little bongo
and
situation.
then this person removes their mask. We found out it's an actual lady.
That shit had me in stitches.
That was funny.
I think that gag totally worked, but only because of the actress.
Yeah.
Her tiny, little sounds when he was saying stuff and okay.
Because he kept kind of like coming up and like grabbing her and like he'd say something quick and then kind of run away. And you felt like she was kind of into it. Like she was like, okay. But then she'd be super offended. And we meet finally like Loveless. He comes out and he's just from the waist up. That's it. Yeah. Terrible facial hair.
God, this guy's facial hair is so bad. I think everything he did was bad. He acted way over the top with this character. He didn't bring anything unique to it, but I feel like in his head he had like elevated his craft.
Oh no. In fact, Kenneth Branagh has said it was the worst American accent that's ever been done on film.
Wow. So they all know how bad this is.
Oh yeah.
There's no one attached to this that was like, it wasn't that bad, you guys.
No. In fact, Will Smith apologized to Robert Conrad, who was in the original, and told him he understood why he didn't want to do a cameo in the film. And as a fuck you to the film, this film won 5 Razzies.
Really? I forgot about Razzies. Of course it did.
Robert Conrad showed up to the event, collected 3 of them, and personally delivered them to the people they went to from the movie.
Fuck.
That's I feel like such an ultimate fuck you. Yeah. I was like, when I read it, I was sitting there, I was like, oh shit.
Juicy, right?
That's some tea, baby.
So now they do have a little fun banter here. The bad guy and Will Smith, Loveless and Will Smith, where they're just throwing insults back and forth.
Oh my God, the insults are great.
Great little scene. We find out Kevin Kline is not that lady. He's dressed up as a cool like Davy Crockett type of guy. I love me some Davy Crockett.
King of the Wild Frontier. Then because Will Smith keeps mistaking this woman for Kevin Kline, they decide that they're going to lynch him.
Well, it was when... so fucked up. It was after he does the bongos on the boobs that she's like, oh my God, enough is enough. Everyone's freaking out, but the lynching doesn't happen until fucking Kevin Kline's like, let's hang him.
And yeah, that's right. I fucking forgot about that. And
has the rope above his head, all like, yeehaw! Will Smith's like, what the fuck, bro?
Yeah. Now, I will say, when he's out there, he doesn't have the rope around his neck. He's just standing there with it in front of him. And he's trying to, be like, come on, guys. And he's talking about, he's like, I'm from Africa. And he's like, we play bongos. And he's like, I always thought you could hear somebody in Georgia right now, or wherever. It was him trying to talk his way out of it.
Some of that banter was fun. Some of that dialogue was fun. It wasn't all bad, no. I will say. But so much of it was
atrocious.
Laborious to get through. Now, when Smith was in the room with the art that tried to kill him, the killing art room,
yes,
he finds out where Loveless is going to go next, which is important because when he's talking himself out of the terrible situation he's in, Kline is looking for evidence and finds
Salma Hayek
in
a big bird cage. Now there was the point where all the so Loveless surrounds himself by these beautiful, lethal women, right?
The hench ladies.
And they are they're all kind of in lingerie, and they're pushing Salma Hayek towards this big bird cage. And Will Smith sees it out of the corner of his eye for a second. He's like, I don't got time for that.
Totally disregards.
And my response, I was like, I think I would have had to stay and watch.
But yeah, he's got all these hench ladies from all denominations and places in the world.
He's super into it. And, okay, one of them is Miss Lippenrieda, because she reads lips, and that made me very angry.
There was a lot of that throughout this.
Did you catch Munitia?
No.
Who was the one that shot all the guns? Ammunition? When I realized that, I got unreasonably angry.
So Smith's quite literally at the end of his rope with talking himself out of the situation when out of the blue, Kline and Hayek come towards him in a fucking
carriage.
Yeah, and rescue him. They're fucking out of there. And now it's a trio. Happy little trio. Because she's desperate to find her father.
Right.
Well, they have to help her. This poor, helpless, beautiful woman needs to find her dad.
And Kevin Kline is so smitten with her. And Will Smith's like, she can't come with us. Because let's be real, she's
We're gonna bang.
Yeah. She's gonna want this dick. And we can't have that. It's a distraction. Somehow she ends up, they leave her behind, but somehow she ends up, which we never really find out how she gets on the
That's right.
train.
She's just in the train again. And then she's like, hi.
As he's talking about her Botticelli curvaceousness. And
so next we go to Loveless and McGrath in a group of men who I guess are supposed to be kings and like people that own a bunch of properties, lands.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote down there's that cute shout out to the RCA logo.
That was fun. That was hilarious.
And the sweaty Shia LaBeouf.
It was. That's right.
But so Loveless tells McGrath to bring all his men to this certain area at this certain time. He does that. He's in the vehicle with him. He's like, my guys are here. And he's like, great. Now time for the demonstration. And basically a tank rolls out and
flattens them.
Yeah.
Done.
Just machine guns them all.
And then it destroys McGrath. He's like, those are my people.
Like, my men.
Yeah.
And he dies. That's when the RCA logo comes into play because he's got this weird ear horn to help him hear.
It is repugnant to look at.
And the things he does, which I'm not going to say, are super gross.
Yeah.
That thing is not clean.
Ew.
So yeah, Loveless is pretty much an asshole that has no allegiance to anyone except the hench ladies.
Right.
And his crazy creations.
And he pops McGrath, throws him in the water.
Later.
And then at this point, like,
leaves him for dead.
Will and the gang roll up and they realize like that everybody's been shot down. They see McGrath in the water. They exchange a few words. He dies in front of them.
Yeah, and he tells Will Smith a very important thing because Will Smith has been after McGrath for quite some time. Apparently there was some town, I think they call it New Liberty,
mm-hmm.
Where McGrath supposedly was behind a huge massacre
mm-hmm.
of a bunch of people there. Well, as he's dying, still being an asshole to Will Smith, he's like, I am a dick, but I didn't do that thing. That was Loveless.
Yeah.
And I guess Will Smith's parents had died there. What I wasn't sure on, was it his birth parents or his adoptive Indian parents? That part I was not clear.
I don't remember because we found out he was adopted by Indians. I don't know.
So Rita, because she's been under Loveless's care, I guess, knows all his secrets and where he's gonna be next and his like secret hideout and shit. So she becomes very important to
her character sucks so hard. Like when she comes on the train, like she's like eating the food, and she's just like, I know, I can tell you, and something, and then it's like there's a couple times like she kind of messed up on things, and it was because
they think it's so cute and charming.
Yeah, and it's like
the thing with the butt flap and her walking away, showing her beautiful buttocks. Ugh. It was just such a lame joke.
Yeah, it was
just the setup was lame.
No, it wasn't even done. It just wasn't done well.
No.
So next up, they end up they're gonna go after Loveless. They're on the train. They're chugging, and who do they run into on the train track on a different train? Loveless and crew.
So yes, they show up. The bad guys show up, and they're like, "Oh shit, what are we gonna do?" Well, Rita's dumbass accidentally smoke bombs them all, and they all pass out. The trio, the good guys. Smith and Kline wake up with those fucking metal necklaces,
and those collars that the guy at the beginning had,
and had destroyed Loveless's mode of transportation. So he's like, "I'm gonna take the Wanderer. Bye." And he gives them, their little instructions. Don't get out of this little area. You'll be fine. Oh, he makes a joke about dildos. Remember?
No.
The Smith's like, "What are you gonna do with all the sexy ladies anyway?" or something, and he's like, "A man of my prowess doesn't have a problem." And then the metal thing he built started.
It looked like a Sibian.
Oh, God, it was awful.
I forgot about the Sibian.
Yeah.
Like a great big giant one.
Huge. And then he was out of there, and the instructions say, don't leave this little area and you'll live. So Will Smith immediately leaves the area. And then it's like a dumb 5 minutes of them trying to evade the death frisbee. And then they decide to jump at each other.
That's in this big crevice in the ground in the middle
full
of
mud.
In a cornfield that makes no sense.
Full of mud.
Yeah.
Just they jump, the magnets attract to each other and they stick together, and the death frisbee blows up. There's no point or reason.
No rhyme or reason.
No logic.
At all. No.
But then there's this not hilarious 5 minutes of them being stuck to each other in weird magnet ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then they fight, because they've always been polar opposites. But then it starts getting ugly. Some things are said. Rita, who has been captured by Loveless again, just kind of flirts her way back into his good graces and is like,
She's like, I've been looking for you.
Yeah, this fucking movie. I completely blacked out about all of this back from 1999 because I don't remember one moment, and it was like my mind had defended itself. Scrub this clean. So they somehow get the necklaces off.
Yeah, because Artemis finds a little toolkit he had, and then they go to Utah. They're on the way to Utah.
So they're in the middle of a desert, and we get some real bad CGI here. Some real bad green screen situations.
For no reason, I feel like. Particularly when part of this movie was shot in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So it's like, why did you have to use...
Why did you do this? So Kevin Kline's got one of the metal magnet necklaces, and it magnetizes him. He's helpless. He's holding on to it, and they find a track, which happens to be Loveless's secret train track. So fucking stupid. And it leads somewhere. To
his steampunk city in Utah. It's in a great big crevasse.
Huge crater. Amazing. This is what I mean. Okay, there were scientists. Okay, there were hench ladies. Who made this? You can't just
aliens.
Snap your fingers and you have buildings and cities. And what we see now, a giant mechanical fucking spider. Will Smith and Kevin Kline are standing there looking at the city like, whoa, amazing. And this
gigantic.
How big do you think that would be?
Oh man.
The dimensions were so off. It was
6-7 stories high.
Huge.
Big enough where like if someone fell off of it, they would probably die.
You would think.
Or they would get maimed horribly.
You would think a broken neck. Certainly some broken limbs.
Mm-hmm.
So this thing, it's huge. They're like, oh, it's fine because it can't get past those rocks. It's too big. But not only is it giant mechanical, it also has cannons.
Because like there's like those like super tall rock formations, and he's like, oh, they're stuck now. And then they go,
fine. Everything's fine. This technology's fine. All of this makes fine sense.
So President Grant is supposed to be doing this unveiling of this train track in Utah.
That's right.
And like he keeps trying to do it, doesn't work. And then out of nowhere, there's no hills. There's nothing that would have hit it.
The plains.
Flat.
Meaning you can look up and see for a long distance.
For miles.
And this giant let's be moderate, 7-story high spider just sneak attacks.
Yeah, metal spider. Just all of a sudden is there and is like, haha. And he's like, President Grant, I demand your surrender of the United States.
Oh, God, that guy. He kidnaps the president, wants the president to surrender and agree to all these terms. President's like, fuck you.
Yeah, no.
I'm not going to do it. Will Smith and Kevin Kline, they climb the...
Nope. Will Smith does. He gets shot immediately and falls to the ground. Kevin Kline does his whole, I'm going to be Ulysses S. Grant, And then it's like, which one of us is it? Ha ha ha. And then he's like, fuck it, take both of them.
That's right.
They think Will Smith's dead, and then turns out
he should be, because he was at the top of the spider,
and he got shot. But Kevin Kline had put chainmail in his suit, or his suit jacket, or whatever, which saved him.
With Will Smith's outfit, giving him new upgraded, gadgets. And Will Smith didn't like this. He was like, "Don't fucking touch my shit," until it saved his life. Then he was like, "Oh, it's not so bad."
Thanks, buddy. So then they're back in, like, I guess, Steampunk City, and it's like the Loveless Alliance, and his whole thing is spiders. Obviously, this man's like, spiders.
Oh, remember the outfits the ladies wore?
Oh, yeah.
Those are pretty dope. I like those.
Yeah,
they had basically spider webs on their boobs. Strategically positioned, but they looked really cool.
They were fun. I liked them.
Yeah, so he's unveiling his master plan. He's decided he's going to split up America. He has a huge portion of America, and then everyone else can kind of fight off. He's going to sell it off to other countries. Now, these leaders didn't seem on board or excited about it. He was super jazzed, but they were kind of like, it almost seemed like they were hostages.
They may have been.
Their excitement level was low.
And he's about to start, he decides he's going to, like, kill, like, Kevin Kline and...
Oh, you're right. He's like, I'm going to kill Kevin Kline. And Kevin Kline's like, okay, because he's got some idea in his head about it.
He's like, shoot me in my heart that I've loved this country so fervently with.
Because he's got the chainmail.
And then they were like, he's like, fuck it, shoot him in the head. Well, then right at that moment, who walks in? Because Will Smith, he's woken up, and then he goes to the Wanderer.
On the ground, right? He goes to the Wanderer, which had been destroyed. He's looking for guns. He's looking for his outfit. He's looking for anything that'll help him in this dire situation. And he finds one thing.
This little tiny belt buckle gun, and
I did love that gag.
He decides to take a page out of Kevin Kline's book and go in disguise. What does he show up as? A harem in, like, this Princess Jasmine outfit.
That's exactly what I thought. He shows up as Princess Jasmine.
How fortuitous that he would play.
A bird version of Princess Jasmine, because the sounds like Will Smith makes.
What? And it's hilarious because apparently he had time to paint his toenails.
Yes. I was very confused by the sounds he was making, and it was too long. But he did have a very beautiful eyeshadow, and it matched his green outfit. He had great little moves, but then his breasticles shot fire. Now that's where I drew the line.
So apparently this part was only left in because there was this executive, they called it executive meddling. Apparently that's the thing in Hollywood. Who was just like, everybody hated it. Like, Will Smith hated it, the cast hated it, the crew hated it. This one executive was like, this is the best, we're leaving it in, nobody has a choice. I'm the producer, like, I do what I want.
Yeah, he's basically flirting his way into Loveless's heart.
And Loveless is like,
he is all
fucking
about it.
He's like, I'm gonna take over the world, but first, this lap dance.
Now, here's where I get confused. Because the next thing I have is the guys build an airplane real quick. But
I forgot about the airplane.
But what happened? How did they get off the spider?
I don't remember. I don't recall.
Well,
just
something happens and they're separated, and they're like, at some point earlier in the movie, fucking Kevin Kline was telling Will Smith about this airplane he had heard about or read about, or some flying thing that they could do. And Will Smith's like, were you serious about that airplane? Because now's the time. And then 5 minutes later, bing,
they've
bang,
got one.
He is attached wings to this weird bicycle, this unicycle thing that he had before with an engine. Oh, Christ. Meanwhile, Loveless has the president, and he's like, hey, you either do these asinine things I'm telling you to do and surrender with these crazy terms, or I'm going to start destroying towns like this one. And he walks through with the fucking giant spider and demolishes it. President's not fucking giving in, though.
He says nay.
He says nay. So the guys, they're flying above the spider and deploy some bombs from the nitro.
Mm-hmm. Thank God they still had some.
It was completely destroyed before.
Shit just happens in this movie with absolutely zero explanation.
Yeah. It's infuriating. So one of the hench ladies shoots them down.
Probably Unisha.
Smith fights off a bunch of deformed goons.
Which we have no idea who they are, why they're this way, why they're all metal.
That one guy with the metal head, like, nothing.
And then why it electrocutes him as Will Smith gets him through that door. No sense. And then on the fucking rooftop of the spider, Kevin Kline's doing ballet so he doesn't have to hit a hoe, like...
Eventually, the spiders headed off a cliff. I don't know how we got there. I don't know why this machine's still running. Who's running it? How it runs. But it's going over the fucking cliff.
And Loveless and Will Smith are having a duel in the cockpit or whatever of the spider.
Right? And so it ends up that the spider's careening over the edge, but luckily Kevin Kline and Salma Hayek were able to stop it just by pushing levers and buttons. They don't know what's going on, but they stop it. And fucking Loveless in his wheelchair is just hanging off precariously from the edge, and then Will Smith falls and is hanging off of him, and they have this little back and forth about
banter and
I could let you go, but then I might kill myself.
And I love myself.
And Will Smith's like, fuck you, and he makes him drop, and he does drop. But thankfully, Will Smith found a metal fucking chain
that would have destroyed his hands as he sailed down it. Back with President Grant. I guess they're back at train tracks at this point, and he's
That's
like,
right. President creates a little something, doesn't he?
On the Secret Service.
Secret Service, and you're agent number 1, and you're agent number 2.
Which one's which? Does it matter? No.
Well, that's okay, because you'll have many adventures to figure it out. Because that's right, good people. They were setting this up for a sequel.
For a part 2.
And possibly many more.
Yeah.
And thank
Christ it didn't happen. Now, worldwide, this movie made $222 million.
That means that it made money.
It did. Not what they wanted it to, based on, 170. So it made what, like $50 million? Which isn't,
But I'm shocked. I would have assumed this lost money.
But it was just because of the draw of the actors you had in it. But they also, some people think that it did as well as it did because it came out at the same time as American Pie and Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. And that underage kids were buying tickets to this to sneak into those movies.
Hilarious.
And they think that could be part of the reason why it did so, quote unquote, well.
I totally buy to that. And I'm going to spread it as gospel truth. The movie's over, thank God, because our heroes ride off into the sunset on what?
The spider.
The fucking spider.
Shall we go into
a real
talk? Fuck this movie. It was a chore to get through twice.
I'm sorry. This was my fault, Noah. I must apologize to you.
It's okay. I've had a few turns myself.
I've made a terrible mistake. I had no recollection of this movie. I remember the feeling of bad, but I couldn't. There was nothing concrete to tie it to. So I thought maybe we can find a little morsel of fun here. And I found a couple of crumbs. But that's the best I could do.
You found them on the floor, though, so that means you won't eat them.
No. That's where all the germs live.
I wanted Loveless to get them, and then I wanted Loveless's hench ladies to just fuck his world up, and then him be dead, and then I never have to deal with it again. Right. And they, les off and ride into the sunset.
Sure Sure.
Did I say les off?
You did.
Les out. Les out and ride to the sunset.
I have a good idea of what you're going to rate it, and it is different than what I'm going to do. But I 100% understand why you're going to rate it the way you are.
So that I'm going to give it a deplorable rating?
You're giving it a big fat 0.
Big fatty fat 0.
And I can't say that it doesn't deserve that from me, but I'm going with a 1. I don't know what the real fun...
0.5.
Thank you kindly. So that's a big old fuck that.
Yeah, don't waste your time. Don't watch this movie.
Guys. So, with that terrible business behind us, we can move forward, Snowy.
Into the sunset.
Into
Sombrero Picks!
And my friend, it's my turn.
Yeah, it is. While you get the sombrero, one more thing I want to fucking say about this dumbass movie. We spent very little time in the Wild West. Most of our time was spent in the fucking dirty South.
That's a very good fucking point.
Like, if you're gonna
there was no
name
West.
a movie Wild Wild West, give me a little bit of Wild West.
Next up is Fuck My Life. No cats.
Yes.
You guys, I threw something back in because I was like feeling it. I was like, I don't feel good about that. I don't like the way it feels. And now I picked something I am very upset about.
That was my pick. And
This
you know what?
2 shit shows
It's,
next back
I mean,
to back.
like, we can go ahead and probably be like, this is going to be deplorable.
We're going to pre-rate this for you. But we're going to fall on the sword because that's what we do at Real Fun Times.
We're here for you, the listener.
Listener, this one's for you.
What are you going to put back in?
Oh, shit. I do have to put one back in. This is a little gem we're calling Crank.
Is that a fucking Jason Statham movie?
Mm-hmm.
Jason Statham's hot.
Right?
I forgot. I've got to say this one last thing. Fucking Mad TV or Mad Magazine referred to this movie as the mild mess.
Mild mess.
Right?
I like it. I'm glad you put that in. So guys,
rate us, review us.
Yeah.
Say hello.
Yeah, check out the social media, check out the website, and you got to tell somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I would like you to tell your local Western boot shop owner.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you get your Western boots. And even, you know what, even if you buy them at Tractor Supply Store, that's fine to tell them too.
You got to tell people. Next week, look for a mini-sode.
Oh shit, that's right.
That's
right.
All right, good people.
Wicked wow wow. Wicked wow wow wow.
Thank you for listening to Real Fun Times, your favorite movie podcast.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Real Fun Times. ReelFunTimes. Real Fun Times is produced by Drea Age, Rose Age, and Noelle Phelps. The thoughts and opinions expressed herein are solely those of the individual hosts. Nobody else's. No one's.
Real Fun Times is not affiliated with or connected to any of the motion pictures, music, or other clips played within this podcast. All movie clips and music included in this podcast are the intellectual property of the respective copyright holders. They're included here for review purposes, and absolutely no infringement is intended.
And lastly, a tip of the hat and a sincere thank you to our friend, Autopsy Summer Camp, for our rad outro music. To hear more of his offerings and collaborations, check him out on Instagram at Autopsy Summer Camp.
The angle from which they took the genitals was from behind.
Mm-hmm.
They took the genitals from behind.
I've done that move.
Oh, God. And it was like, it was quick, but but it was hairy. It was not well lit.
Yeah.
Like, it just was unpleasant to look
And it didn't
upon.
make sense. I mean, this is a PG-13 movie, and I don't understand.
Immediately, we were like, what's happening?
Like, was that a sack?
Genitals. And not even good-looking genitals. That's the problem I have. If you're going to show me genitals, they better be sexy.
They better, yeah. Very well
What are
groomed.
we doing here?
I don't know.